morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator for technology startups. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And this is our 679th roundtable. We've been doing these roundtables since 2008. So it's been many years, months, weeks, days of being on deck doing this, and hundreds of thousands of participants have made this program successful and valuable. And we still have no difficulty getting people to come and discuss their businesses. And it's been a tremendous learning experience for me too, because everybody knows something about a domain that I don't necessarily know that much about. I know a lot about how to get businesses going and put one foot before the other, but there are many domains where we get domain experts coming and talking, and it's fascinating to hear. We're going to start today's session with a conversation with Shripati Acharya. This is a repeat appearance. Shripati has been here before, Managing Partner of Priven Advisors, and we have a very interesting discussion on AI strategy for his firm. And this is, AI strategy is something we've been discussing quite extensively for a while now, because pretty much the whole startup ecosystem is buzzing with AI. And there is a lot of confusion. Some things are becoming clearer, some things are still not clear. So there's a whole lot of issues to work through. Shripati, we are looking for your wisdom to help us do that.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Mona, for having me here. It's a pleasure, and congratulations again for what you have created here and accessing so many entrepreneurs. Very happy to share my thoughts. I wouldn't go as far as to say wisdom, but definitely happy to share my thoughts.
So, Shripati, let me start us with getting your general framework of how you are thinking about AI investments from your firm. What do you think are the most interesting areas of entrepreneurship, and what are you looking for? What are you investing in? Let's look at some case studies, and we'll do some deep dive into agentic AI in particular, because that's obviously top of mind right now and fresh hot off the press kind of. So let's start with the general framework.
Okay, wonderful. So this is a framework which we use, and different folks have different ways of slicing this. What is a very foundational, very transformational event in the history of technology, and folks have compared it to invention of electricity and so on and so forth. But putting it in more, I guess, present day terms, I would say it is probably as relevant and important as when the internet first came out. With the launch of Netscape's browser, or rather became usable with the launch of Netscape browser. It's definitely as seminal as that. So very simply, the way we look at it is that at the bottommost, you have the foundational models. Above the foundational models, you have more horizontal infrastructure technologies. Just 1 second, hold on. I'm just going to close because there's some background noise coming out here. Just give me a second, please. Oh, sorry about that. So at the bottom, you have the foundational models, and these are all the Anthropics, the OpenAI, Gemini, and so on and so forth. After that, you have a middleware layer, which is connecting these models, everything, all the applications which are going to be built on top of it. And then, of course, at the top, there are the applications themselves, which the end users are interacting. They are the ones who are typing into these, and it could be any number of things which we are all very familiar with. And the way we think about this is that obviously it's a funnel in the sense that the largest number of opportunities will be on the application side, slightly lesser on the on the middleware side, and of course, even lesser on the model side in terms of the number of successful companies which will be out there, not necessarily the size of the pie. Clearly, the number of foundational models which are going to be out there are going to be very few. It's very obvious. You have the Anthropic and OpenAI and Gemini and so on and so forth, a few of them, and of course, a bunch of open source models rapidly gaining steam, DeepSeek being one of them. And then on the middleware, there will be more things which are actually stitching things together. And on top, you have the applications. So the question then is that the obvious thing is, investing in applications where there will be lots and lots and lots of players now. And everything which we know is going to get reinvented in an AI native world. So it's a little bit like thinking that we had an application before the net, which was client server sitting on PCs, and every application got reinvented in the web world. Similarly, every SaaS application can be safely thought, and correctly so, to be reinvented in the AI world. Now, the question is that what makes for the most interesting applications to invest in on the app side? And this is how we are thinking about it. So this might sound a little, oxymoronish, but I'll say it is that we want to invest in opportunities where the technical AI component is actually a small part of the overall solution. So let me unpack what I mean by that. So if you're sitting in an enterprise stack and providing an enterprise solution, any AI application will be sitting on top of the model. So the fundamental thing, which first question which we ask is that when the underlying model becomes way better than what it currently is, which we can all safely say in 5 years' time it will be, what is the persistent value add of this application? Does it actually diminish, or does it increase, or it remains the same? And obviously, if it diminishes, I think it is less compelling an investment, even if the current traction appears very high. And what that means is that when we are looking at applications, if they're sitting inside an enterprise, they're integrating with a lot of existing enterprise applications which are already there, which are integrating into the existing enterprise workflows which are already there, where the current user persona is actually using. It's not actually causing a change to that, but just enhancing it. And where the entrepreneur understands the selling process and how that current product is going to fit into the existing budgets of the enterprises, it makes for a compelling value proposition. And in that, when we look at it, you'll find that the actual AI piece of it is critical and important, but it is a very small part of the overall value proposition which you're delivering to the customer. So that's how we are looking at it. And these tend to be vertical solutions. They tend to be solutions which are in specific industries. So that is like the framework here, Shona. I can illustrate it with an example, but I'll just pause here for a second.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is domain knowledge is the premium that you want to put on the entrepreneur team's domain knowledge is really what you're putting the premium on to build something that is intense in workflow, intense in domain related value add. And then the AI is an enabler of that value add, but not the critical piece. And especially the AI technology itself is not the big enabler.
That's correct. I mean, it is a very critical piece in the sense that the technology is important,
The
but
technology is
it's not
very
all
important.
about the technology. Yeah.
Yeah. So now let's do a couple of examples of what you have invested in that follows this general framework.
Yeah. So we are actually just very recently made this investment, so we haven't announced it, the names of these, but I'll actually talk about the companies, what they do, so that to illustrate the point. So one of the companies is in manufacturing. It actually fits into the manufacturing technology stack.
Mm-hmm.
So, currently, when you're going through a manufacturing process, there are several steps in the assembly line. Like, for example, you might be making a television set, or you might be making a dishwasher, or what have you, or an automobile. It goes through a series of steps. And what happens is that as a manufacturer, you want to minimize defects
Mm-hmm.
because if you uh, put a defect goes into the field, then depending on, say, if it's an automobile, you might have to do a recall. Or if it's something else, a consumer good, you might have to just, probably repair it in the field or whatever is the case may be. That's one. The second thing is that which is essentially a false negative, right? The whole thing went through the line. I didn't actually recognize a defect. But there's also a problem with the false positive. So for instance, you actually flag a defect which isn't there. And because then you might have to stop the assembly line. And of course, that has a direct cost impact in terms of the number of goods which you are producing, and of course, all the overheads of restarting the line and so on and so forth. So accurately identifying and acting on a defect has been an issue in manufacturing for a long time. And the way it has been solved is that you put fairly special purpose hardware at certain points in the manufacturing line, and then so that you can exactly get the angles, everything straight, and then act on it, right? Whenever an alert is flagged by the software. So with AI and with the vision models, this thing can actually change in multiple different ways. Now it's possible to use very inexpensive hardware and very good software to dramatically increase the accuracy of defect detection. You can both reduce false negatives and you can reduce false positives. That's one. But in order to do this kind of a solution, now you need to understand how it fits into the manufacturing workflow.
Of course.
So, for example, in manufacturing, the network is not open. So you don't actually have, web access from outside into the factory for obvious reasons, because there's security implications. You have a very restricted access controls, so on and so forth. So it has to be an on-prem solution, for example.
Yeah.
In addition to that, it has the alerts, and the user interface needs to fit in to the other control systems which they already use to run the manufacturing plant. So it has to go ahead and fit in that. Third, you need to understand how this solution fits in terms of positioning it to the buyer. So who is the buyer of this particular technology? And it might actually vary by the industry in which you're doing. So it requires deep understanding of both manufacturing as a vertical, but also the specific verticals within manufacturing, because there are so many of them. And then positioning it in the right way within that, and integrating with everything else around it, and figuring out how will support work, how will product enhancements work, and really, and of course, pricing it appropriately. So in this, the part of AI wherein you're using vision models to actually go ahead and do all this detection is, of course, very important. But unless it actually goes ahead and does the rest of the solution, it actually cannot be deployed or will be used by the manufacturers, because for them this becomes like a very critical piece of software. So there'll be a lot of diligence before they can deploy this. So that's an example of a vertical software.
Shripati, what is the background of the founders for this venture?
So in this particular case, the founders had actually worked while they were studying in this area. So they were actually working on this while they were still in school, essentially.
So they're
And after
first-time
doing
entrepreneurs, but they have kind of interned in this area.
exactly, so they worked with their while in school, they're working on it with their professors in designing the solution. And so by the time they were a couple of years out of college, this was their very first thing which they did. They'd already been working on it for several years.
I see.
And the process was really about understanding the pain point of the customer.
I see.
So to your observation about having deep domain knowledge, you really would have to gone ahead and spent meeting 50 customers, being in the factory floor, understanding how it is actually being used,
Right.
what really matters to them, and then going and executing it.
Interesting. Interesting. I'm also, my thesis also is the defensible businesses are domain knowledge heavy in AI. I think it's, the layers of abstractions are coming. The layers of abstraction to some extent are already in place, and there's going to be more. And just to to give you a feel for my framework, I look a lot at the parallel with the cloud computing infrastructure that came about over time, right? Salesforce announced force.com. It must have been 2005 or so when they brought to force.com, and then the app exchange. So very, very serious companies like Viva could bootstrap on top of force.com and get a product out and became massively successful. These are, multi-billion dollar public companies today. And there were many such instances that happened. So I think that is the direction in which the AI layers of abstraction are going to go. So you're going to have a lot of this stuff available to build on top of. And Salesforce has announced Agent Force and the Agent Exchange, exactly the same idea. So they want you to build AI agents on top of their platform, and they're offering an AI marketplace, agent marketplace,
Mhm.
exactly the same parallel of the Force.com app exchange combination. The rest of the industry hasn't quite gotten that far. There will probably be something from Google, there will be something from IBM, there will be something for ServiceNow, something from Microsoft, but it's not as far along. Salesforce culturally was so far along in this direction. I think they just jumped on it right away and announced that, even if they may not have everything ready yet. So I think that is the framework we are going towards. So and this should make it on the application layer, it should be much easier for people with domain knowledge to build on top of these kinds of infrastructure and build really powerful solutions.
Definitely.
Are you seeing agent companies in the deal flow yet?
Yeah. So let's take a step back and define agents, because it's such a term. I think that people have different definitions. I'll just say what my definition is, just so that not to confuse any of the listeners out there. So I'm thinking about agents as programs which can stitch together a series of tasks to perform a somewhat
Autonomous.
larger, higher level complex task, right?
Yeah.
And so individually, they might be actually both using AI, getting the prompts, acting on that prompt to do the second set of things, and so on and so forth, all of them autonomously, and at the end delivering, some result back. Um, so the short answer is that not yet,
Mhm.
in the sense that the one place where we are seeing agents being used is in the most simplistic or the most straightforward one, which is in customer service
Yeah.
pieces, right? Where you have an inbound call coming in, you have an agent which is understanding the customer, figuring things out, and so on and so forth. The second place would be in service businesses. Think of as somebody, you have an inbound customer rep, but he's not really customer service for complaints, but like a receptionist who's coming and taking appointments, or think of a dentist office where somebody might be doing it. These are all situations where having a human resource is difficult, who can, because it's characterized by high churn, high training, high churn kind of roles, where folks for small businesses especially find it difficult to hire, where agents could work. What we are seeing is that their solutions have come up and people are beginning to look at it, but not something which has caught on like wildfire. Okay, let's go ahead and deploy it. So that hasn't yet happened. But what we are seeing, Shamana, consistently is that the AI companies have a very strong agentic roadmap.
Yes.
So I think that it's a question of just the phases in which these are deployed. So customers rightfully will first deploy the basic AI solution, wherein it is serving as a co-pilot, for lack of a better word. And before the comfort is there for the agent to go ahead and take decisions on its own. So once you have gotten familiar, suppose you are in the business of approving certain workflow, you are in compliance, or you are in any managerial position or in administration in HR. Initially, you might actually just let, for example, say a prompt which says that, hey, look, this is the request. You would typically approve it, and you say, click, click, yes, I do. But after some time, maybe there's an autonomy there where certain things are automatically being approved, other the exceptions are being flagged, and so on and so forth. So I feel that that's the way agents are actually going to go. I mean, we have seen efforts at agentic um, solutions come out in, for instance, writing code, right? But the
Yes,
adoption really has been on the Copilot side a lot more,
lot
which
more.
leaves the programmer firmly in
Yes,
control,
yes,
right? So all these
absolutely.
companies.
In all our discussions last year on this kind of discussions, human centric AI was front and center. There was a AI is in enterprises, AI is in small businesses, but it's either a human using AI as whether it's a co-pilot or an assistant, whatever, but it's the human making the decisions. It's the human using the AI to do his or her job faster, more efficiently, etc.
Yeah.
So I think the agent can, in from a roadmap point of view, the agent can start to automate some of these things as the human gets more comfortable with the AI's functionality. So I think your point is absolutely perfect in that, if the human starts to get comfortable with what the AI is recommending, etc., and at some point it makes sense to automate a piece of that, that's where the easiest insertion of AI agent-driven automation comes in. Now,
Hmm.
let's just take an example for this one I've been thinking about for a long time is that financial management, right? Wealth management advisors. What do they do? What they do can be done better by AI, most likely, right? It can be done orders of magnitude better by AI because there's a lot of monitoring involved. There's a lot of
Hmm.
like granular monitoring involved in taking decisions based on, signals that are coming digitally. In some company, there's a lot of insider trading going on and insiders are selling stocks. So I need to put a stop loss on my holding or whatever, these kinds of decisions. If you have an AI agent monitoring 24 hours your portfolio, there is real opportunity for agentic automation, not
Hmm.
just human co-pilot, but agentic automation, because there is. So I think, again, from a framework point of view, where there is a 24-hour monitoring required and where 24-hour monitoring could help making decisions, AI would do better than humans.
Hmm.
And if it's a time sensitive this choice, time sensitive action that you need to take, that would be a very good place to insert AI agentic automation that goes and does stuff.
Hmm.
Things that wait, things that can be reviewed, there is time lag, it is okay to have time lag. That's where humans still control, humans still want to review stuff and so forth. But I think there are use cases where 24-hour monitoring and time sensitivity are important. And that's where I think agentic AI should do very well.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think it's a question of the comfort which we have with the tools which we are using. And the greater the comfort, I think more we will be able to delegate in one sense to the agents down below.
And then the other observation I have is that, selling agents. If agents are being built at the top layer, at the application layer, but there is a lot of integration involved and so forth, throughout the workflow, and let's say this is happening inside of enterprises, there are so many enterprise systems already within the enterprise, right? There's the
Hmm.
whole SAP stack, there's the whole Oracle stack, there's the Salesforce stack, there's ServiceNow, Workday. I mean, there's so many enterprise stacks and then there's all the security stack, blah, blah, blah. So where do you think agents are going to come from? you can't really cook up agents from thin air. They have to be from within those systems or work within those systems. And the people who understand those systems the best are in the best position to build those agents. So, is there going to be a big opportunity to build agents that are from, entrepreneurs? How do you think about it?
So I think this really comes back to a question about how does an incumbent versus a new entrant kind of like play out in this particular thing. And I would say that if you just look at it along two dimensions, in one dimension, I think that it's going to favor the incumbents, but in another one, probably not. So clearly, the incumbents have the distribution and they have the relationship. And that is not to be underestimated. And that is clearly, why, Microsoft leads Google by like its leaps and bounds in enterprise is a reason, because that's a deep relationship they have had and that the trust that enterprises have in a Microsoft stack of software, which I've had since ages, since the times of Windows, and it continues on to Microsoft 360 and Copilot and so on and so forth. So it's hard to break into these things because the business disruption for enterprise, they're not looking for the cheapest stuff, but they're looking for the lowest total cost of their solution. And so I think that's correct. Absolutely. That things like Salesforce, Oracle, and so on and so forth have a very compelling distribution advantage. I think the data advantage is actually lesser than what I thought would initially be.
Mm-hmm.
So now AI is built on data. And one would say that, hey, look, these are the guys who are existing and all this data is available. And so now if you're building something on it, clearly the person who has the most amount of this data is going to be able to create a AI system which is going to be leaps and bounds ahead of anything which is coming from a new entrant. But what has happened is that we are finding now that synthetic data is very, very good.
Very good. Yes.
And synthetic data requires only a reasonably small sample of the real data.
Yes.
And now synthetic data trained systems are able to be just very good at understanding all kinds of things. And just to give an example, there are certain things which occur at a very small percentage of the overall sample size. For example, fraud in a financial system.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to build a system which is very good at detecting fraud,
Mm-hmm.
just making it sit and watching the regular stream of data is not going to actually make it very good at detecting fraud. Because fraud is maybe, just picking a number, 0.1% of the total traffic.
Yeah.
But synthetic data can amplify that,
Sure.
can help you train that system on fraud. And now you actually have a fraud detection system.
Yeah.
So I feel that we underestimate the ability of startups to actually create equally good and better or better AI systems. And I feel that the incumbents have the very traditional, the innovator's dilemma issue, because the smartest and the brightest AI engineers are not joining these larger companies.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be sitting and starting their own stuff, number one. And number two, the underlying stack is moving so quickly that the larger companies, by definition, cannot keep like just going and jumping off to the latest stuff because their customers will go dizzy. And so that actually goes ahead and helps it favors the startups. But like any other disruption, Shravan, I think that startups will have to go with the early adopters. They have to go with the universities. They'll have to go with all these folks who actually agree to like trial your systems.
And I think the distribution is going to be an interesting point, which is one of the reasons why I find the Agent Force announcement exciting, in that the same way that a lot of SaaS companies were able to distribute through
Mhm.
App Exchange, a lot of
Yes,
agent companies will be able to distribute through Agent Exchange, and that is going to be
absolutely.
invaluable.
Yeah. I think it definitely was a very smart move to actually go ahead and do that, which let others build on it instead of trying to box them out.
Okay, well, I have taken up the time that we had budgeted. Do you have anything else that you want to weigh in on this general topic. Of course, we will continue the conversation in a few months. I mean, things are moving so fast.
Yes, absolutely. I think that we covered, the key things which we wanted to as part of this conversation. I would just say that I feel that just as the data center is being reinvented with AI, the GPUs are reinventing how a traditional data center is done. Similarly, I think every piece of the enterprise stack has an opportunity to be rethought using an AI
Absolutely.
native approach. And so that's why it increases the surface area of the opportunity in a tremendous way for startups. I think we'll have more startups. We'll have smaller startups doing more. So really, I think it is a terrific time to build companies.
And it's very
So
cumbersome, right? Because many of these systems are on very old architectures, and we're in a completely different generation architecturally. And now we are going to be retrofitting all these SAPs and oracles and so forth, and we're going to stick agents here and AI there and this and there. It's like, I mean, as computer scientist, sounds like a very bad design of software.
I think it's going to cause a lot of upheaval. But on a super exciting side, I feel that it's going to democratize access to technology. Folks who actually were, from a socioeconomic strata, were boxed out of this, right? Using tech is not easy.
Right.
You still need to like manipulate screens. You still need to punch this, do that, and all those kind of things. And we kind of take it for granted. But now with AI, we could really have voice for the first time as the predominant way of interacting with software. We could have stuff which is completely, in one sense, covers all kinds of languages. It's not just this, English primary language stuff.
Yeah.
And it could actually go ahead and cover our everyday things, which have a lot of,
I think language is a very language removing language barriers with AI is an enormously powerful way for development, economics in
exactly.
general.
And so
Yeah.
just taking the India-centric hat, because we're just a country with like 22 official languages and probably
Yeah.
many times more of that dialects, we feel that the transformative potential for this to
Huge.
bring technology all the way down is just massive. It's a super exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Shripati, for your comments. Very, very
Absolutely.
interesting discussion. Thank you for
And
coming.
thank you for having me again, Shona.
Pleasure, pleasure.
Bye.
Folks, today we are going to do this a little bit, short at time because I have to run. But I see a lot of people in the room. You're very welcome to introduce yourselves and ask questions. We can do a quick, 5-7 minutes of Q&A before I have to run. And Shripati is still here. Maybe if you want to ask him questions, you can do that too.
Shona, would you like me to be in there? Like I can hop off. I just didn't know what the
It's up to
protocol
you.
was.
If you can stay, you can hop off. Either way is fine.
Okay,
We've covered
I'll
more.
take leave, Shona. It's quite
Okay.
late out here.
Thank you. Thank
Cheers.
you.
Bye bye.
So, folks, please introduce yourselves. If you have questions, go ahead and ask in public chat or ask Maureen to put you on the panel, and you can talk to me. Jumbo Blockchain, what is your name? Is an innovative layer one blockchain based out of India working on various industry use cases. So those of you who are here today and will be pitching either next week or the week after, I know some of you registered to pitch today, but we don't have time today. I will take those pitches next time or the one after. So there are Maureen will be in touch with you to coordinate when you will be pitching, but you're very welcome to introduce yourselves here in the meantime. Now, very quickly, while you're doing that, here's an overview of how to use 1 million by 1 million. Everything is at 1Mby1M.com. This is a completely virtual accelerator, and we work 100% globally. So anywhere in the world you are based, you can participate in 1M by 1M and use our facilities. The 1M by 1M Premium program is our full acceleration program. You get weekly strategy consulting, mentoring, coaching, whatever you call it, but you get interactive support on your project through that. Investor introductions are part of the premium program. You get a terrific actionable curriculum. We have a methodology, and that methodology is taught through curriculum. It's a very different methodology from the blitz scaling methodology of raise as much money as possible as soon as possible and crash and burn if you can't do that. That's not the way we do business. We build businesses in a much more organic, one foot before the other way. And we're the only accelerator in the world that really consistently supports bootstrapped entrepreneurship. We would work with you even if you are not fundable or not fundable yet. We would help you become fundable or help you build a sustainable, profitable company. So that's what Premium. Basic is a curriculum only. You can also start learning the methodology through the curriculum just by signing up for Basic. That's fine. Go to the website, look at Basic, Premium. Some of you are looking for consulting. You can get consulting. It's more expensive. The upcoming free roundtables are April 10th, 17th, and 24th. Please work with Maureen to figure out what works on your schedule to pitch, and definitely you're most welcome to attend as many of these sessions as possible. You can pitch for free once. After that, if you want to work with me, you have to be in the program. If you have questions about the program, you can contact Irina Patterson, irina@1Mby1M.com. So Jyotika is introducing herself from Jumbo Blockchain. Okay, wonderful. Does anybody else want to introduce yourselves? Say anything, ask questions. What brings you here? Anybody? And if you're already registered to pitch in one of the follow-on sessions, I will definitely look forward to working with you. Hemant Bang from Chhattisgarh, India. Family businesses related to making different types of licenses. Apart from that, I'm in multiple startup business-oriented groups, because of which I've got connected with investors and startups. Connection with 25 plus startups looking to raise funds in the range of 10 lakhs to 15 crores. Currently, I have connection. Okay. So you want to discuss that? You have to register each of your startups. Each of your startups have to be in the program, in the premium program, to raise money through us. So ask your 25 startups to join the program. You can contact Irina and talk to her, irina@1Mby1M.com, and she will answer your questions. But you're very welcome to sign up your startups to the program, and we will work with each of them individually. Jibril, startup called Restau Marts, based in Abuja, Nigeria. Okay, you'll be pitching next week. Great, excellent. Anybody else? Jyotika, I imagine you're going to be pitching in one of the upcoming sessions, yeah? And Hemant, you can also ask your startups to come and pitch for free in one of these sessions. So they just have to register to pitch and come talk to me, and I can give them my comments as well. Or they can go straight to the premium program to raise money. All right. Yes, if you keep an eye on the blog, everything will be published on the blog. You will get links to the pitch. Links to pitch, yes. You don't have to do anything extra. Maureen will be in touch with you to schedule your pitch, yes. All right, looks like we're done. I will see some of you at the pitches in the upcoming sessions. And if you're in the premium program, we can start working with you right away. Talk to you soon. Bye.